us today. Dennis Fashbaugh is our captain in the Southwest. And, he's really the person that we go to when we want to know things about the military, things about what's going on there. And then Jim Harrison, he's been on your show before, but he is one of our influencers. And he founded the Natural Family Foundation. So he's an influencer with us talking about the family. So I just wanted to put a little plug in for, the tool that we created, which is the website. And just to mention also that we have forums there.
Yeah, I appreciate Mel, and so let's jump to our guests here now. J.R. Harrison was actually one of the very first guests I ever had on the show on America Unhinged. I think he was on in the very first week. Dennis, I'm not as familiar with. So Dennis, God bless you. Thank you for your service, for one, coming from an Air Force veteran. So introduce yourself to the audience. And again, I'll have you guys all on my show again in the future. I just want today to be really an introduction to you and what you're doing. And then we'll have reoccurring appearances as we go on in the future.
Thank you, John. Dennis Fashbaugh. I've now had 26 years of military experience. I've been in different components. There's active duty, reserves, and National Guard. I've been in all three. I did a year in the Space Force when we were living up in New York. And just recently, we moved to Ohio here, and I've joined the unit. And because of all the stuff going on with the jab, I'm being forced into retirement. And it's absolutely sickening to see what's become. And Mel has, started this platform where we can consolidate our resources and, pull together as a team, because like you were saying, we all have our silos where we're effective, and, and to realize that there's other people fighting the same fight you are, just in a different region of the state or even the country, to consolidate those resources and actually, put those that are in charge, to put their feet to the fire, is truly an amazing thing. And that's, what made me sign up for it.
Yeah, and that's great. And we appreciate your service. I've been seeing some kind of news alerts here that some Navy SEALs might have, won their appeal against Biden and his jabs. So I'm not sure exactly where that's going to end up. We know every bit of it's unconstitutional, and a lot of it's fear mongering and bullying and strong arming and everything else. And that's why it's so important that we know what our rights are, because we can't wait a year and a half, 3 years from now for the courts to rule, these rules were unconstitutional. Well, the damage has been done. So this is where we have to draw a line in the sand. And I've been saying that for years. We got to draw the law, God's law and the Constitution. Those are the lines that we're going to draw. I'm not going to let you intimidate me, scare me, fire me, anything, when I know what my rights are and who gave those to me. So I appreciate, and we'll definitely be praying for you and the other brothers in the military to stand strong against these tyrants.
Well, unfortunately, I've seen reports. This is just Air Force. My son-in-law's in Marines. That's a whole different story. But they've literally, said that, okay, because this is your constitutional right, you can request a religious accommodation, but they haven't approved a single one. Right. Not one.
Right.
And so, luckily I've been in the military forever, but there's guys that are, holding the line that have been in for, 10 years and they're being forced out. I'm still going to serve my country. I just may not have that uniform on. I'll take the fight in a different avenue. And, I reach out to any other military member out there, hit me up on the Liberty Action Network or, contact me somehow. And, so we can join forces and put forth a front against these people. Literally the order that I was given is questionable. It was contradictory at the base level, but it literally, said you can do this, but well, if you can't do this, then do this. So there's so many questions involved, and they make it so confusing where if we don't have like the Liberty Action Network and a team to push back, you could get lost. They expect us to get lost. So we need a united front in order to, stand up for what God gave us.
Yeah, without a doubt. And the way I see it, they're they're trying to expunge the military. They're trying all the people that aren't going to be the guys that just fall in line and follow orders. You know what I mean? That's the way the Nazis did it, right? They kicked anybody out who wouldn't follow orders, and then all they were left was a whole bunch of people that are, hey, I'm just doing my job. And that's why we had concentration camps and death camps and people being shot over graves and everything else. So we definitely need you to, to do what you're doing. Again, I want to have you on in a separate installment, just dealing with the military in itself. But again, we're just trying to introduce you guys to my audience right now, and we will definitely continue this fight together in the future. Now, let's switch gears real quick to JR. JR has been doing this for a long time, and I've known him through Coach Dave Dobemeyer for many, many years. Back when it wasn't cool to go to a school board or a city council meeting, which seems to be a little more in vogue now, when people finally realize that their rights are getting stepped on by these little petty tyrants that we put into office. J.R. Harrison's been there, and I've seen many of his speeches at city council meetings and school board meetings, and he's been active in a number of areas. So, J.R., welcome back to America Unhinged this morning.
Thank you. My pleasure. It's an honor to be here. By the way, I want to thank Dennis and Reggie as a family dealing with this battle.
Yeah,
we are so divided in America, and the key, I believe, is to divide the family. Once you divide the family, husband from wife, children from mothers and fathers, then the rest just kind of flows. And to keep that together, so I want to compliment both Reggie and Dennis for doing what they're doing. And you're right. I got bit by the righteous bug 35 years ago. And I've never been the same since. I've been involved in all kinds of activities. And the thing that I have seen and learned, especially lately, is that this COVID, it is a nasty issue, but it is basically awakening people. It's given us a better vision, if you will, in terms of what's going on. And I'm sure that Melanie, my sister Melanie, she's not my sister. She just happens to have a last name of Harrison, but that's okay. has recognized this and is trying to do what we've tried to do for years, and that's bring unity of action, unity, and keyword is action, onto the playing field. I tire so, and I have to preface this with, I have a 2-hour radio program on Saturday mornings. So before I say what I'm going to say about radio and TV and Fox News and all the other talk radio shows, I want you to know that I have one, but it is Do Radio. We keep our listenership down because we're always pressing people to do, and they don't want to hear that. But I so tire of hearing talk radio. It's like tattletale radio, tattletale TV. Well, the president's done this, and Nancy Pelosi's done that. Okay, all right, fine. How can you do that for 2 hours or 3 hours a day, every day, and then Fox News in the evening and whoever just continually talk about this? We're doers on this program. We are all doers. And this isn't fun. Okay, this is not where I want to be. I don't want to get out in front of people and talk. Today I'm going to joining Mel in the group with Liberty, and we're going to, from 12 to 1 o'clock, we're going to be standing out in the cold here in Ohio. And then from 4 to 4:30 to 6 o'clock, I'm going to get up to Delaware City and standing with those folks. And then after that, I'm going to a township trustee meeting, and I'm going to address that township trustee meeting. Now, this is not what I want to do. I want to go out on the golf course. I just want to sit back and relax and enjoy, quote unquote, my retirement. But again, I got bit by that righteous bug, and it just won't leave me. There's an itch there, and I have to continually scratch it. I'm rattling on. Go ahead, Joe.
No, you're doing fine. And I mean, that's a thing that I think a lot of us have to understand, especially if you're retired. You've got all the time in the world now. Mm-hmm. You need to be fighting for your kids and your grandkids. There were years and years that I was just like, man, I wish I could just quit my job and fight this fight full time. But, I got bills and I got a family and I got everything else. Well, now the Lord's called me out of that, and I'm kind of walking by faith right now. But I mean, when you get retired and now you got your pension or Social Security or 401k or whatever, man, you should be both feet in the fight. If you care anything about your children and your grandchildren, you should have both feet in this fight. And that's why I love the Liberty Action Network, because it does give you a place to plug in. And that's the great thing about it. So talk to us a little about the Natural Family Foundation, because I love that. The family is the building block. You destroy the building block, the rest of the structure crumbles. So talk to us about what your efforts there.
It took me about 25 years to get here. And I went through, first of all, I tried to get politicians elected to office. And I found out that really didn't do any much good. Then I tried to get to awaken the church and have the pastor speak relevant sermons to get the congregation involved in the activities. That didn't work. So I'm getting frustrated. And I happened across a gentleman who is a management consultant, and he consulted with us, and he started talking about the 7 areas of influence. And he talked about the government, he talked about the news, and he talked about the church. I say, stop right there. It's the church. It's the church. And then he talked about the family and the other areas. And before long, I started thinking, well, wait a minute, maybe the family does have something here. And then a revelation came to me that the family's broken. And the family is a building block. The first institution that God created for the benefit of man was what? The family, Adam and Eve, right? Not the state, not the church, but the family. So if the family in America is broken, or anywhere, and it is broken, then nothing else is going to work. Your foundation is cracked. Now, I'm not saying you drop everything you do and you stop going to abortion clinics, you stop doing this. By the way, abortion is an attack on the family, as is gay marriage, as is about every law that we've passed recently. But you have to recognize, to me, you have to recognize that the family is the key. That's the vision. Where there's no vision, the people perish. That is the vision we have to see. Now, I'm not discarding Jesus Christ and salvation. Don't get me wrong. But we're here on planet Earth. We have to deal with what we deal with right now. There is a spiritual battle, and there's a material battle that we're going through right now. So I'm looking at the family, and I'm going, oh my goodness. If the husband and wife are separated, or they're divorced, or you've got 3 sets of parents, or you've got a gay mother and father, a sodomite mother and father, it's not going to work, because God has instilled in us an app in every child. And that app is, you need a mother and a father, and a mother that is born that way, female, and a father that's born that way, male. A child needs both of those. When you take them out of the family, we'll go to the prisons today and look at the prison system. And if you ask them what their family life is about, they would tell you that they don't have a father, likely, or they don't have a mother. They don't have that 2-parent system. So you spend the rest of your life, when you don't have that, trying to fill that with drugs, with sex, with crime, whatever. You try to fill it with that. I'm getting a little verbose here, and I apologize. So I obviously believe in what I'm doing with the Natural Family Foundation. The key is, if we don't fix the family, nothing else is going to work. And you can do that by going to abortion clinics. You can do that by going out today and celebrating our unity.
Yeah, without a doubt. No, I agree 100% that the church is the cause. They've been hiding their light. They haven't been the salt. And there's a lot of apostate churches, those that are out there supporting gay marriage, endorsing homosexuality, ordaining. These are apostate churches. If you're in a denomination that supports homosexuality, you are in an apostate. Read those 7. Maybe that's why God gave me those 7 churches this morning. Read those, because your church is one of those ones that is not getting the thumbs up. All right. And there's some pretty tragic consequences if you read what Christ had to say to some of those churches. So I agree 100% that the family is the key. And then the church is just a gathering of families that are supposed to be led in the spiritual way. So me and you, JR, have talked about that from the very beginning. The original Hebrew Republic was set up in that way, that it was just a consolidation of families that made tribes that made a nation. So Dennis, I want to talk to you a minute about, because I want to get you back on and actually try to get you on a couple other shows here going forward as fast as we can, if you're going to be available for that. Or have you set up any kind of like veterans type of network, or is that what you're trying to do through the Liberty Network?
That's what I'm trying to get to. We're in the fledgling stages. I don't think we have the full infrastructure yet. I've, reached out to a few people that have congressional connections and stuff like that. So yeah, we're in the process of trying to, line that up. And yeah, I would love to come back and, discuss this at length. If you ask my wife, I can talk, for hours about this. She rolls her eyes, but, no, but she's very supportive, and she's got her own ministry and stuff like that. So I mean, it's really great to have someone in your back corner that's a fighter like you, and to even push me outside my comfort zone. But yeah, like bottom line, anybody that's still in the military has sold America out. Mm-hmm. Anybody that's not holding this line right now didn't take their oath to God at all. And, it took me some time to actually come to that realization as we all grow with Christ and, and learn his word and learn his ways. But now, I mean, I feel like I got that fire in my belly, and, for lack of a better way to put it, like Rocky in, Rocky 4, whenever it was when, he's like, I got that beast in the basement that I just got to let out. I mean, that's where I'm at right now. Is I'm ready to take the bull by the horns and push back against anybody that's not fulfilling their oath to the American people.
Yep, no, that's great. And as a theologian, that's one thing I want to teach on here extensively of what it means when you take an oath to God. I mean, there's some serious eternal consequences for those who do not keep their oaths and keep their vows. And I don't even think that's taught very much. I did an entire teaching series just on vows and oaths as a theologian. So we're going to get you back on definitely sooner rather than later. And I want to introduce you to some hosts. Definitely be working on trying to put something together or find another veterans group that's out there that's doing that, because we need to consolidate the veterans. Between the church and the veterans, I think we can save this nation and save the family and save everything else. But it's going to take the veterans, because they're rock solid. It's going to take the true churches, the churches of Philadelphia, to do that very thing too. So I appreciate having both of you on. We're definitely going to have you both on as reoccurring guests. And Dennis, again, I want to make some handshakes to you by the end of the day to try to get your message out there as much as we can. So I appreciate you coming on the show.
Well, thank you for your time. This has been an amazing event.
Absolutely. We'll do it again here soon. Liberty Mel, we got about 1 minute left. Please tell the people again where to find your network.
You can find us at the libertyactionnetwork.com. And I'm going to be joining today in the Celebrate Freedom event that the christianrevolution.net is putting on. We had put that out as an action alert, encouraging our members to host those gatherings. And then, once, the date and the events are created, we put that up on our events page. So I'll be out on the corner in my local little town, waving my flag and celebrating freedom today. So I would encourage your listeners, if they want to check us out, to go to thelibertyactionnetwork.com, check out our website and our forums, and join us as a member. We're adding the state so that people from other states can join in too. We were just doing it in Ohio with the counties being identified, but we're opening the door. Come on in. We put our Christian values first as distinctly Christian, and we'd love to have your listeners join us.
That's awesome. Appreciate it, everybody. Segment 2, friends and patriots, we are going to have the weekly installment of Mad as Hell University from our friends at Defend Our Union. So come back after the break, and I will see you tomorrow morning. God bless.
This is an amazing company that has sponsored both of us. And this is a way to have backup communications when the grid goes down.
Well, the situation became problematic, Mike, with the New Orleans, the latest hurricane, because people panic. And this is one thing that I've learned from being associated with the satellite phone store for over a decade. People will call and order 600 phones at a time.
What?
It's like this, Mike. Anytime there is a crisis, people want these. And ladies and gentlemen, they've created such a good deal for Mike's viewers, my viewers, our combined viewers, that this is the only way you're going to be able to communicate.
And that's the other beauty about these phones, is they can't track you because it's not talking to a cell tower. It's talking to satellites, orbiting over the equator. So SAT123.com, folks.
Thanks for your support of this platform. Use the code BTV at checkout for additional savings. Brighteonstore.com.
We're spending $430 million more every day on gasoline.
We're looking for answers. We're pissed off, lost, seeking truth and unbiased information. We want to make our country safe again. We are passionately holding on to our freedom. We want to defend our nation. Here is the antidote to powerlessness. Constructive, not destructive. Welcome to Mad as Hell University.
Folks, we have a fantastic session here. And why do I think it's fantastic? Because I know that you know that what we need today is effective action. We're going beyond the rallies, beyond the rah-rah, kumbaya, all of which are good, but we're going to the next level, which is strategic, well thought out, effective, and professional action. Why? Because at the end of the day, what you want and what I want is we want results. We want to protect our state. We want to protect America, and that's going to happen with results. And so why I'm so excited, why I introduced this particular episode of Mad as Hell University that way, is I have my friend Keith Flaw. And before I bring him on, let me just tell you a little bit about Keith Flaw. His organization and his team is called Florida Citizens Alliance. Now, one of the things about Keith Flaw and his organization is they are focused, hyper-focused. They support a number of different causes, but what they take action on is very, very specific. And if you've been through the Defend Challenge, you'd have heard from Ninja Mike that focus is critical to achieving results. So that's number one, they're focused. Number two, they're organized. You're going to hear about that in a minute. Number three, they're scalable. They have taken the time to figure out how people throughout the state of Florida can get involved at their local level. Number four, they have cultivated relationships. He's going to talk to you all about that, because in order for us to win this fight, we have to do it collaboratively. And oftentimes, have you heard me say time and time again, our ability to win is a function of our ability to work collaboratively with others in spite of our differences. Because believe me, we have a lot of differences, a lot of different personalities, a lot of different egos, a lot of different objectives, a lot of different concerns. It's our job to work collaboratively in a way that everyone is left honored and respected. That's in our group. So you got to stay tuned. You got to stay all the way to the end. Keith is going to be showing and explaining the things that his organization is working on. And look, you're going to figure out very quickly the focus that Keith and Florida Citizens Alliance is on. And if that may or may not be your focus, however, the principles, the strategies, the methodologies that Florida Citizens Alliance is employing produces results, and you can apply those same methodologies into your cause. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring Keith Flaw on. And I'm so happy, Keith, that you're with us today. Thanks for taking your time. I know it's a jam-packed season right now before the New Year's. I'm glad to have you here today.
Well, I'm delighted to be with you, Raj, and thank you for the invitation to share what we do.
Oh, you're so welcome. So let's get right into it, Keith. For the folks that don't know about what you're doing, kind of give the folks an idea of kind of why you started, how long you've been, because that's a key thing. This is an organization that's withstood the test of time. So share with them a little bit about that, and we'll get right into it. Go ahead, Keith.
Well, Florida Citizens Alliance is a coalition of many different groups across Florida, including Defend Florida. And what we have been focusing on now for 8 years is really education, particularly K through 12 education here in Florida. I often say to people, and sometimes this is controversial, but our education system is broken beyond repair. And the only way forward is competition and finding alternatives that our students and parents can take advantage of that aren't part of the government school system. Now, having said that, we have 2.8 million kids in government schools, so we have to deal with that, and we have to try to help those parents in many different ways. So we work effectively in the legislative pillar. We have been building what we call Kids First teams, or local community teams. And then we have a major emphasis on alternatives. And we actually have developed a separate website called libertyscholar.org that is full of alternatives to government schools. So we are very solution oriented, we're very action oriented, and let's go.
Yeah. And how long has Florida Citizens Alliance been doing this kind of work?
We started in 2013, but we really got some juice or some effectiveness starting in late 2016, 17. So we really have expanded aggressively since then. It took us a little while to get our footing, so to speak. But we've in 2016 we had about 40,000 people in our database, and we were just beginning. Today we have well over 110,000 people in our active support base, work with over 100 groups, and we really are punching above our weight at the legislative level from a policy point of view. We've been very instrumental. We played a major role in getting rid of Common Core and replacing it with some really good, best ELA and math standards. We just completed a project last fall working with the Department of Education on some really good civic standards. We've gotten some legislation. We were very involved in not exclusively, because we work collaboratively, but very involved in getting the Parents' Rights Bill and the Transgender Bill and a number of other bills passed through the last legislature. So we work on multiple fronts. And again, and I can't emphasize this enough, it's a collaborative effort focused on solutions and action.
You heard what Keith is focused on and how he's working. And for the folks that are listening, you heard him address some of the key points. There's something very, very sinister, and I don't want to be overly dramatic, but folks, there is something. Well, I'll let you be the judge here. And Keith, one of the things that you're pushing back on is full on, for want of a better word, pornography in our school material. So that's egregious to begin with. But then when you hear the age range that this material is being put in front of, it makes me mad as hell. That's really what it makes. So, but Keith is not just talking about that to get people annoyed. His organization is taking effective action to counter that. So, Keith, for the folks that have no idea about those two aspects, can you just at least slightly touch on that and let the folks know how insane what we are forcing into these small young kids' minds are through our school system and tax dollars?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. We just completed an update. We did a project 2 years ago on the pornography and age-inappropriate sexually explicit material that's in our schools. And we just updated that. You can find it on our website under the legislative tab, goflca.com. But it is we had parents and grandparents come to us with what turns out to be a list of 58 novels and books that are in our library system. I used to call it library, they call it media centers these days. But We've then gone out with the help of Pacific Justice Institute, which is a not-for-profit legal firm. We went out with public records requests to all 67 counties with this list, and we essentially demanded that they tell us whether they had these or not. So we now have a report that includes all 67 counties on this 58 novel set, and the vast majority have anywhere from 40 to 80% of them. So it's prevalent throughout our schools. You can go to our website. We've actually documented each of the books. We've had readers who volunteered, again, action-oriented. We got folks like yourself involved to read these materials, document them, and you can actually read their assessment of these individual novels. Now, to drive that point home, we have put forth a bill in the legislative cycle. Representative Stan McLean has agreed to run it on the House side of the equation. We're struggling a bit on the Senate side. It always strikes me as really strange that the politics of stopping pornography in our schools can be something that conservatives shy away from. But we're working hard at that, and we hope to get a bill sponsor for the Senate side of that equation. And it's harmful for minors bill. So that's one of the major things that we do. Last year was COVID, and we didn't go to Tallahassee all that often. We've already been there 3 times. I'm headed up there the first week of session in January with a team, and we're going to be working really hard to support the harmful for minors bill. But actually, there's some other really good bills that are taking place that we're going to be working hard on as well, that others have sponsored, that we think are good bills, like an education savings account bill. Powerful,
and disturbing as well. And if you're listening to this and you're getting mad as hell about that, you should be. These are our kids, for goodness sake, and it's in the school systems that they're being poisoned with this language. And then to make matters even worse, how come there's resistance? How come people are resisting getting this stuff out of the way? Who's actually standing up and saying, no, I want this kind of inappropriate material in front of our kids? Who is that person? So look, folks, remember, it's about results. It's about getting this turned. And I want to go back to sports because, and you know, if you're watching this, you know I'm not a sports person, but in America, you have this amazing phenomenon called football. And if your team's winning, how come they're winning? Well, I'm going to offer two points. One, because of the people that are on that team and how well they're working together. Number 2 is their playbook. A football team doesn't just throw a bunch of players on the field randomly and without any organized fashion or strategy attempt to get the job done. No, they have a playbook that they follow. They have a playbook that they practice against. They have a playbook that they honor, even if it doesn't match up with personalities and so on and so forth. Why I bring that up? I'll tell you why I bring this up. Because Florida Citizens Alliance have got something that they call a 6-month action plan. It's not a 2-day action plan. It's not a 1-week action plan. It's a 6-month action plan. And you know why I'm emphasizing that? Because you and I have got to be prepared to play for the long haul. Now, some of you are watching and saying 6 months, that's short haul. No. In the conservative movement, when you start talking 6 months in America, that's long term for people. But they've got a 6-month action plan. And I want Keith to talk a little bit about this. And Keith, the first thing that you have in your 6-month action plan is you're talking about understanding who your primary audience is. So Keith, in your world, who is a primary audience? But also tell us, why is that so critical? And why did you put that as a first item on your 6-month action plan?
I'm happy to do so, Raj. First of all, we've kicked off a project which we're labeling Let's Turn Florida into the Next Virginia when it comes to school districts. The primary audience now, and that's Raj's point, is not the school districts, the school boards per se. It's all of the members, the parents who are watching those school board meetings. So what we're encouraging people to do is form a core team across multiple groups so we can all work together on this. focus on 3 subjects: the critical race theory, the pornography, and the transgender LGBTQ movement that's being driven into our schools at kindergarten age and up. So we've provided some materials and some resources. We're asking local leaders, and we have a number of them with Florida Citizens Alliance. We have 6 counties that have stepped up to put this action plan in place. I am working with 4 others, so I think we're going to get to 10 to 12, but I would welcome to have somebody from every one of the 67 counties leading a local effort to focus your community members on what's going on from a critical race theory, a pornography, age inappropriate material, and the LGBTQ transgender movement. We have to get down to the point of not just talking about these, but actually showing, and we can use the school board meetings, who video those meetings as a key means of getting this word out to all of the people and parents that are watching. So we're asking, we put a very specific action plan in place. It's going to require a number of different elements to be effective. One is core organization, a small team organized in each of the counties across these different groups. This is not just a Florida Citizens Alliance effort. It's not partisan in any way. These are our kids we're talking about. And so we've actually outlined a number of things that we think you can do, and we're willing to help you with resources and support. One of the key elements of success here, and Raj, you and I've talked about this, is getting national media attention. So as we find these very specific examples of pornography in a classroom or LGBTQ content, and I'll give you an example of the transgender movement that just occurred here in Collier County. And we blew it up here, but it needs to be blown up big time. We had a 10th grade teacher in an English class. The subject being taught was the Holocaust. And she decided to introduce the transgender bred person, which is a whole theme on transgenderism. And so she took over that class and used it entirely in an English class on the transgender movement. Now, we had a student who outed her teacher on that, and it's turned into a pretty big deal here locally. But those kinds of examples we have to find across the state and then get media involved. We have a good working relationship with the Epic Times, with Conservative HQ, and a number of other organizations. So if we can, at the local level, find these examples and use them locally to get parents upset and focused, I think we can then turn it into a much bigger effort. And again, the whole purpose here, there's really what I would characterize as 3 purposes. One is we want to dramatically increase the awareness of what's going on in our schools on these 3 topics. And I would tell you that while the anger level is increased over anything I've seen in the last 8 years, it's far from what it needs to be to reach the powerful level that was reached in Virginia. So it's up to us locally to organize, focus on these 3 efforts, and really get the grassroots community members engaged. Secondly, and it's just a reiteration, let's not lose our focus. There's so many things going on out there relative to education and relative to other things going on. If you stay focused on these 3 real, very real things, we have an opportunity to really engage our community. And of course, the long game here, and it's not just in the 6-month time frame, but we chose the 6 months because it's between now and the end of the school year, leading into, guess what happens in August? The primary election in our school boards.
I want to just recap what Keith talked about. He has identified his primary audience. And Keith, as you just saw, they've chosen three focus items: CRT, the pornography, and the LGBTQ. Isn't all of those things the domain of the parents? Do you really want a teacher who has been trained, hopefully trained, to teach English, to be talking about this kind of very volatile subject matter? Keith, you talked about being prepared and professional, being prepared and professional. And I've been to meetings where good people that are angry and that they care about the kids, and they are just screaming and insulting and ranting. But you said, be professional and be prepared. Why is that important, Keith, in the work we're doing?
Well, we're trying to capture media attention and to get parents across the board and community members to understand what's going on. And when you have people that go into these sessions and they rant out of control, they're not serving the long-term goal at all. In fact, they become a media focus in and of themselves to taint us as nuts. I don't know what a better word, to taint us as nuts. And we clearly believe that parents have every right to determine what their kids are being taught in the school. We believe the focus should be on the basics. I'm going to show my age here, but the 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic, right? And then of course a really strong prevalence on our foundational civics. And by the way, under the governor's leadership and Commissioner Corcoran, they just completed and we played a role in that, some really good civic standards. And the governor is putting his full support, his money where his mouth is, in terms of putting a whole program in place to train teachers. And they can actually earn up to a $3,000 bonus if they complete a constitutional course that's designed by the Department of Education around these new standards. I kind of got off track a little bit there, Raj, but the point is we have to be professional. We have to stay focused, and an irrational rant doesn't help anybody.
Folks, we're going to take a break. We're going to take a break here so you can hear a word from our sponsors. But when we come back, an action item that you can take right now when we come back. Welcome back from the break. I told you that we'll give you some action items you can take right now. And we're going to put Keith's, in fact, it's already right there. You see Keith's email information right there on the screen. You see the website. Folks, a couple of things. One, contact Keith and get plugged into Florida Citizens Alliance if you're in Florida. Find out how you can get plugged into a local action group. Secondly, if you're anywhere on the planet and you're watching this, organizations like Florida Citizens Alliance survive by donations. So please go to their website and make a generous donation, because you are literally investing in our children's future. Keith, thank you so much for being my guest today. And I am so inspired by the action that you and your team are doing. I so appreciate it. Can't wait to have you on again, because we didn't get through everything I wanted to get through in this short interview, but look forward to having you again. Thanks very much, Keith.
Thanks. Happy New Year to you and all your listeners.
Thank you, Keith.